I want to go backwards because you mentioned close encounters of the fifth
Right.
kind several times in this
Right.
conversation. Explain to me what close encounters of the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth actually really means.
Okay, that's a good point. A close encounter of the first kind is seeing one of these UFOs within enough range that you see the detail of it. In other words, not a far distant. You actually see the structure. All right. A close encounter of the second kind is when it leaves some sort of physical trace or evidence, meaning a radar trace where it's landed and it leaves physical trace on the ground. I think we have 3,500 of those in our archive. Something like that. A close encounter of the third kind, remember the Steven Spielberg movie from the late 70s, is when you have an encounter actually with a extraterrestrial biological entity, E-B-E-N, an extraterrestrial person. And a close encounter of the fourth kind is when you have an on board, where you go on board a craft. And a fifth kind, which is the highest category, is when humans initiate contact. In other words, by using a set of protocols and attempt to make contact, and they respond. Now, attempting to is not a CE5 or close encounter of the fifth kind. And by the way, there's an app called CE5 Contact. It's on all the app stores, and you can get it and practice it. It has a whole training process in there. But that's when one responds. And so that was the original project, 1990. So the original project I started was the CE5 Contact project. It led to that contact event in Florida that then led to me getting asked to come up to D.C. and do all this stuff. So, but that was the initiating program. And basically the idea of it is that since this situation has been so mucked up by covert programs, keeping it out of the main governmental and scientific world and diplomatic world, it's sort of like during the Cold War when there were physicians for social responsibility and doctors from America went over to the Soviet Union and vice versa, trying to create some kind of dialogue and relationship to help with the relationship so we didn't go to mutual assured destruction and a thermonuclear war. But this is humans initiating contact with these civilizations because the U.S. government isn't, the United Nations isn't. The only government I know that's attempted to do it with us was France, where we did a CE5 contact training event during President Sarkozy's term, and the Ministry of Defense and an admiral there were very supportive, and we did that for them, and they were very supportive, and we had some phenomenal events happen. But I think that it's sort of a non-governmental experiment in people making contact, doing it directly, until such time as the government gets its leggings on this and gets control of it, and then begins to do it themselves. Because really, the big mistake here happened in the 40s and 50s when this entire issue became so secret that it then escaped.
That's where I want to go with this.
Yeah, it's a disaster that happened.